From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic-Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zack, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So,
And then I said to her,
wrecked them, damn near killed them.
waiting for something. Hey, season 3, episode 39 of the Comic-Con podcast. Recording this on September 27th, 2023 with your man, Nemesis Prime, and Taylor Swift fan, Milton the Manimal.
Look, so, yeah, I know most people know I'm a Chiefs fan, and all the talk has been Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. It's kind of annoying. But I would like to tell a story that I've always kind of liked about Taylor Swift. And actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell this story because I'm not entirely sure it's true, and I don't want to be called out for it. So, no, I was actually at the game this weekend. And
yes, you were. And that's why I actually thought, you know, what's so funny is like, so that happened on Sunday. And I think it was, so we're going, I think it actually didn't occur to me until Tuesday. I just randomly said out loud to the wife, I go, Zack was at that game with the whole Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift thing. And even like my wife, who's like seen Taylor Swift and likes her, she goes, yeah, she even like agrees that like the NFL and everybody is like all talking about this, but like the overshadowing of the 70 points that the fucking Dolphins threw up, the goddamn Ravens.
Crazy.
Yo, I was so pissed. I was in a 3-leg parlay and I needed the Ravens to have one more point. And they couldn't get 1 point. I needed to have 21. And I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys are terrible.
And I was at my wife asked, because when you go to the game, you miss all the other games. That's just the truth.
Of course.
Like when you go to, because you're tailgating and everything, you're not really watching. Like I'm looking at my fantasy team a little bit here and there, but, and she's like, so what happened? Like, she's like, are the Dolphins really good or the Broncos really bad?
The Broncos,
I was like, well, it's like a combination. I think it's just like the perfect storm. So, okay. So no, yes. So this is a true story, and I may get the details of this wrong, but I've always thought this was made like Taylor Swift kind of a boss. So she had like all of her rights to her, or all the rights to her music were owned by like whatever the company was who owned her rights, and they sold it to some dude who bought them. And this is like something that's kind of common in the music industry, which actually is total bullshit. People who own like the Beatles library, or I can't remember if Michael Jackson's library is still owned or if it was. It doesn't matter. Like as a pedophile anyway. But anyway, people own these libraries and they make money off of the songs, right? So someone bought Taylor Swift's library, and she kind of just like, you know what? F that, Mike. And so she went out and re-recorded like all of her 6 albums. I think it took her like a year, man, or something. So she basically went back, paid for the production value in the studios, and just re-recorded them all. And so kind of like cut the leg out from these people. So like now she owns all the rights to her songs. So I always thought that was a pretty boss move of her. But,
yeah. It's I've seen that a lot recently. Like when you go on like Spotify and you actually see, and it'll say like album, like, and it's like whoever it is, like it'll show like the album, and it's like remasters or redone. And I always think about that story with the Taylor Swift thing, because it's like they lose their royalties and they're not getting as much money as they could if they actually put it out. So
so anyway, I'm sick of hearing about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
So let's move on. Let's get out of the football talk. I know this is a comic book podcast, and we have
it's
a comic book thing. Yeah, that's what we do. Let's kind of get into some community stuff this week. Couple questions before we get into a few of our articles this evening. Let's kind of start it off, and I definitely think some of them are a good back and forth. So our buddy Hard Knocks Collectibles says, what do you guys think of the new Blade series? This is all on you, man. This is all Manimal.
Oh man,
not read it.
It's actually a good week for him to ask that question, because issue 3 just came out this week. So, you know what? I was pretty excited about it. Well, I was looking forward to it. We had Bloodline Daughter of Blade came out, right? It was like a 5-issue miniseries. That was kind of lackluster. I know there was a lot of talk about how awesome she was supposed to be. I didn't find it to be great. I didn't find it to be horrible, but it was kind of like whatever. So then we get coming into like a Blade miniseries. And I don't know, dude. Like it's okay. It's not great. There's some like it's a character, like the villain is like someone we don't know. It's a new character, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't really have like the importance yet. Basically, someone awakened like a demon, a really powerful demon, and the one weapon that can kill this demon. And I just use the word demon. It may not be a demon, but Blade like destroyed the one weapon that can kill this thing. So now Blade's trying to find the weapon to kill this demon, like another weapon. Something interesting happens in this book, which you might actually find this cool. So I'll kind of spoil it. They're looking for another weapon that can kill it. They talk to someone who mentions Lucifer and how Lucifer is the light bringer. And they also mention how, before he was bad, he was good. And he has a weapon called the light bringer. So now they're looking for a sword, the light bringer, which is basically Lucifer's weapon. They're saying might be power enough to kill this demon. So it's okay, man. It's not great. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. And I kind of feel like everything's been a little bit of a letdown with Blade over the years. Even his addition to like Avengers was kind of like lackluster. They did a whole Vampire Nation thing, and that really didn't go anywhere in Jason Aaron's like storyline. I don't know. I kind of wanted more supernatural. I wanted more Blade. I don't know. I wanted a little bit more because I've never been a big Blade reader. And so I was really hoping this title was going to kind of make me a fan, So I don't know. How come you didn't pick him up? How come
I don't know. There's just so much other stuff coming out. And yeah, like I read the Bloodlines thing and, hopefully his daughter kind of, pushes it a little bit forward. But I don't know. I've just never been a huge Blade fan. Like, yeah, the Wesley Snipes movies are amazing. They're still like top tier as far as like early Marvel stuff and really put kind of superheroes movies on the map for sure. And great actors and actresses have been in those movies. Just I don't know. Just Blade was just never one of my characters. And I do like vampires. I just never, wanted to pick it up as far as reading it.
You know what's funny about Blade is until the Wesley Snipes movies, and I'm not super savvy, so there might be like a hardcore Blade fan out there who's going to be like really mad at me for saying this, but the Blade movies changed the character. Like if you go back, and I know Blade from the Midnight Suns and the Danny Ketch era.
That's probably the only time I've read them.
Right. And so, and like I read a bunch of the Midnight Sun stuff and the Night Stalkers and stuff like that. And it's a completely different character than what you got in Wesley Snipes' Blade. But the Wesley Snipes version is the cool one. And so now you're in this weird mixture, I feel like now, where it's that Blade, it's the newer Blade, but he kind of has the Blade personality of the old one. And I don't know. I'm not sure. So
I don't really know I know his history, but yeah, like you said, they changed it for the movies. So
right.
It would definitely be something a little different. So, yeah, I guess maybe I'll try to pick it up after like the first story arc just to kind of see it.
I'm actually wondering if it's going to be an ongoing or if it's Marvel seems to be doing just like, well, so does DC, to be honest, is just like the 1 through 5s lately. I don't know how many issues it's going to be out.
Well, we'll see what happens. Let's continue to move on to some other questions. So we got our buddy Mike the Beast Benson. He goes, "Hey guys, what are some of your favorite horror comics, movies, and or TV shows?" So great question. We really don't talk about too much of horror on here, and I don't want to kind of, I don't want to bog down people with like going to, right away, like the top hits, right? Like Something is Killing the Children or Stray Dogs. For me, some of my favorite reads actually from like the horror side. And I don't want to spoil it. I want if you get a chance to pick it up in trade format, check out Scott Snyder's The Wake. Great series. Snyder did the writing, of course, and then Sean Murphy from obviously he's done all the newer Batman stuff. That futuristic Batman, his own little the Murphy verse. Really good storyline. Very sci-fi, very horror. It's only 10 issues. I don't really want to get too much spoiler into it because it's if you read it, you're going to be like, it's such a mind fuck. It's a really good series. And as far as like, I guess like, I don't know, movies, I'm really not too big into the movies. As far as like maybe TV shows, I do like American Horror Stories. I'm looking forward to the newest season.
It's out now, right? I think it started.
Yeah, so. I got to catch up on a bunch of it. What about you, man?
Like you said, besides like the current like hits that are out there, like I don't read. Not that I don't like horror, but that's not my genre that I'm like I go to. I love we've talked about the Hulk is very horror-esque right now, and I'm really enjoying that a lot. But I I don't know. I don't have like a lot of favorites. I am looking forward to Tinian's new launch for the Universal Monsters, the Dracula comic book series that's coming out with Image. I
Yep.
think it's supposed to be 4 issues as well, or Image Skybound, whatever. I'm looking forward to that. I like the older kind of stuff. I do like the Universal type characters and stuff like that. Movies. I mean, growing up, I was a massive Halloween fan. Like I loved the Halloween genre or the Halloween franchise for sure. What did I do love horror comedies. So there's this is kind of a dovetail. Do you watch it, man? This is like one of the best shows out there right now. And if you guys aren't watching it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Is What We Do in the Shadows is
Yes, my brother talks about it all the time.
it's so good, dude. It's so good. It's so funny. It's basically vampires meets The Office. I mean,
Yep.
the only way I can really describe it is that whole like idea of like there's a camera crew following around these vampires who live together. And they're so dumb. It's hilarious. The 5th season, I think, just ended not too long ago. But I do enjoy horror. I'm very much I mean, I don't get like afraid and like I don't like. To me, horror works best when it's like, and use terminology, one shot. Like a one shot into like a horror aspect is great. But like even with like the Halloween movies, they can go on too long and you're just like, okay, this is dumb now. It's almost like get in, get out quick. Like Stray Dogs did it right. Like I'm glad that, and I know I'm sure something's coming up, and I think we talked about Stray Cats or something, right? But they didn't really milk that, which is what you kind of got to be careful about doing with the horror genre. You can't really, you got to, once you hit, move on, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Any shows other than
I don't know what other horror shows are out there.
Yeah, I don't really. There's not too much out there, to be honest. Like
I did go horror themed. I did go when I was back in Kansas City this past weekend. Kansas City has like really famous haunted houses. And so they have 2 really like big ones, and they're in these huge warehouses. And one's called The Beast and one's called Edge of Hell. They've been around for years, dude. And they're in like it's called like the West Bottoms area of Kansas City. And it's almost kind of like scarier to be waiting out in the lines. It's not the greatest area of town, but it's like 4 or 5 story warehouse, dude, with like full on haunted house, but it's legit, dude. It was really cool. I took a bunch of friends there, and I hadn't been in years. And it was awesome.
nice.
So
cool. Great question, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for the question. Yeah, not too much on the horror stuff. And last but not least, because this is, of course, is coming up, our buddy V. Ken Marion, artist for Death Shroud and some Aspen stuff, as well as other things he's working on. He goes, "How excited are you for New York Comic Con?" I know you, so you really can't answer this one. I can't answer this one. So as far as excitement, you know, it's a fun time. It's definitely got like the community thing, but like this year, I'm really like, I'm not excited, right? Like,
okay,
I'm excited to see certain things. I'm excited to just walk around, but New York is so hectic and it's so crazy. And that's not to say that like once I get there, like it could completely change, because you know I may see an artist who I'm not even I forget that's there, and I may want to get like a sketch or buy OA or get all the exclusive comics that I don't know that's happening, or like, you know, the video game companies that are there. I have no idea. But like over the years, it's kind of just like it's been changing. Like, to be honest, like even on like Thursday is like I have a 4-day pass. It literally just came in. I have to activate it. I literally have it here in my hand, like my 4-day pass. You know, I don't know. Like I'm excited just to like see some people I haven't seen in a while. Like Ken,
yeah.
He was on the podcast earlier in the year. I haven't seen him in quite a while. You know, he's doing some new stuff. I'm definitely going to go stop over at his booth and pick up all his stickers that he's got, you know, have a great conversation with him. And then whoever else is there that I, don't really get to run into that often. Obviously, yeah, it's the East Coast. So people in New York, the New Jersey people, and a lot of people have already hit me up saying, hey, let's go get a beer. Let's go get lunch. And that's really what I'm looking forward to, is some people that I haven't had the chance or the opportunity to like actually hang out with. So it's not so much the comic buying, because New York is just an absolute disgusting mess as far as like
Jesus,
trying to get certain things. I mean, realistically, I should retract a little bit. The only thing I am super excited for is I just sent off a book to get a sketch from. I'm gonna completely screw up his name. Martin. He did. He does some amazing work. Give me 1 second, Cecily. So it's Martin Zavala. He kind of works with Capture Collectibles. Sometimes you'll see him. So I sent him a book. He's going to be doing a Hera for me, Hera Syndulla sketch, but he's doing it. He does amazing like this, like painted art stuff, or like airbrush stuff. So he's doing it as Hera, as Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and she's going to be there. And I bought an autograph opportunity for her. So that I'm actually pretty excited for.
On what book?
Yeah.
No. On what book are you getting it done on?
Oh, I mean, I sent them a sketchbook. So I sent them a Kanan 1 and a Star Wars 1. And I said, I'd prefer it on the Kanan 1 because of the fact that obviously first appearance.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of artists have trouble with the Kanan 1 because of the material on the blank. It's like different. It's like a different type of cardboard. Yeah, It's really odd. Ryan Brown, who did the sketch of Hera at Terrificon, actually had, an issue with it as well. So there's that. And I wanted a Ewan McGregor autograph as well, but he was sold out. But I'm still possibly going to be able to get one that day. So fingers crossed that I'm going to get something signed by Obi-Wan and something signed by Hera. So actually,
nice.
Again, see, things change. Like I forget that I'm doing things. I actually bought the autograph literally earlier this week. So that's probably my biggest thing. And if I don't buy any books, I don't care because it's stupid expensive at New York Comic Con. I'd rather go to all these local shows.
I will say I don't have a lot to speak on, but I am getting like FOMO a little bit this year, knowing that most likely next year I'll be able to go. So I'm like seeing it. I'm like, oh, it's so close, but yet so far away. And like thinking about being able to go out there next year. So, but yeah, dude, New York, yeesh.
Yeah, it's always it's always a shit show. But then once you get in and you have some fun, and again, that's what I'm looking forward to. Is a lot of people, people that's just said, hey, let's get together. And I think that's the coolest thing. Is like I really just want to hang out with some people, like I said, that I haven't gotten a chance to hang out with, and different than Terrificon.
Kim's going crazy with the stickers on Instagram. I see him all the time, man. You have to snag me some of the FF7 ones.
Oh my God, yeah. So our buddy, check out Ken Marion over on Instagram. He's got some pretty awesome ones.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got like a Poison Ivy. He's got like a Harley one, the Cloud, Tifa, Barrett.
Tifa, right?
Oh my God, dude, I can't wait. And obviously we could get into Final Fantasy Rebirth talk, but time for another.
Should we?
No, I think we got to do an all video game.
We got to bring Ken on. If we're gonna do Final Fantasy Rebirth talk, we'll bring Ken on.
Yeah, closer to release.
Yeah, dude.
So that's the questions for this week. We appreciate the community questions, of course. Always check out our Instagram, the Comic-Con podcast stories. Typically, we put it up about 24 hours before we record. Let's kind of get into the articles for the evening. So let's start off with some TV talk. So. Today, actually, Netflix did this thing called the Drop One virtual event over on YouTube, where they showed off a ton of new stuff that's coming out, whether it's coming out this week or in the very near future. And they actually showed off the first episode of the newest Castlevania series called
Nocturne, right?
Nocturne, yeah. So I've actually tried to be binge watching the first 4 seasons of the original series, which was kind of like a loosely based off of Castlevania 3 because it's with Trevor and his crew and Alucard and Cypher. So, but over at the Hollywood Reporter, this article, Netflix drops first looks at Tomb Raider, Devil May Cry anime, and a new series from Logan co-writer Michael Green called Blue Samurai. So yeah, what we got, I think it looked amazing. They showed off literally like a 1-minute trailer for Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. Brief trailer coming out in 2024, voiced by Haley Atwell. So that's pretty awesome. I'm excited for that. They first announced it back in January of 2021. Didn't even know this at all. I know they were kind of talking. They did the 2 live actions reboot of the Tomb Raider stuff, and this is the first time that we've seen it in quite a long time. I mean, the Tomb Raider series has been going for a very long time, and the reboot, when they did the video game reboot, was amazing from Square Enix. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then they did show off a quick, brief trailer for the one and only Devil Hunter Dante. And this one's coming over from the same producers that did the Castlevania series. It was going to be an 8-episode series based on, of course, the franchise that debuted way back in 2001. And there was actually an anime that lasted maybe like 3 episodes, I remember, but wasn't the greatest anime, but I'm super excited for this as well. And then last but not least, we have this one, the Blue Eye Samurai, has a full trailer. It's actually coming out November 3rd. Very cool look. I already sent it to our boy Tivo, because obviously he's big into samurai stuff, and there's a ton of great voice actors in there, people that know this samurai look. So thoughts on it, man? Video game stuff and anime. I really feel like Netflix is like dropping a lot of good stuff this year, and then it's kind of gone under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of backtrack the Castlevania stuff, like I had watched maybe seasons 1, 2, maybe I got 3, man. I don't remember, but I do need to go back and rewatch it. I mean, with all just the Warren Ellis influence in it as well, which was so awesome. So I had been meaning to rewatch that as well. And then I saw that Castlevania Nocturne, and it's not like a direct sequel, right? It's just kind of like it's a different family member, like down the line after Trevor Belmont, I believe is what I'm seeing right here. So I'll definitely check that out.
It's with
Richter Belmont.
Richter. Yeah. And that's like that was based on like I
didn't play these ones. Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood is what it's based on, is what it looks like.
Well, yeah, because Symphony of the Night was actually with Alucard. Yeah, that kind of, Richter is in it for a little bit.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then the Tomb Raider stuff, I probably would check that out. I'm not like super excited about it, but I've always really liked Tomb Raider. I love Devil May Cry. I probably played the first 2 or 3, I think, pretty religiously. And then what was the one that just came out recently? Was that 4? You were playing it. 5? Yeah, 5, I think I definitely didn't play like the most recent couple, but I loved the storyline for Devil May Cry, so that for sure I will check out. And then I might, if I get a chance, to do the Blue Eye Samurai thing. I mean, the anime stuff's never been my bag, but it's never been something I don't like. It's just kind of like if I get to it, sort of thing. Like if I have time and I get to it.
Well, do you feel like, obviously with the ability that they don't do live actions, right? Like we don't really get a lot of live action video game stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen the success. Like I think Castlevania was successful on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Obviously to keep making the seasons, they did 4 seasons. There's a ton of stuff out there for it. We haven't had a live action for that. Zelda, obviously with Mario, they went the route of an animated, movie, and it did, huge numbers this year. So, do you think that like this is the route to go? And, this is it's easier that way for people to watch than, really kind of, it's usually, it's certain movies, right? Like Tomb Raider,
right.
The original Angelina Jolie stuff was cool for its time. And then the reboot
was cooler.
Was cooler.
Yeah.
Because it really, it deeps into that, like, that kind of treasure hunter. But then you had like movies like Uncharted, which like flopped.
Yeah, I think, man, what were we talking about? I feel like we were just talking about something last week where I said, maybe it was Invincible, because we were talking about the live action Invincible. And it's like, I think sometimes some of these properties are way better in the animation realm. Like you just like even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, okay, like, you know what? Like the originals are great. Don't get me wrong. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, the original, is one of the best movies of all time. Like, I don't know what anyone says, but it's amazing. But like trying to redo that live action and force the live action on that, I don't necessarily think that's the route to go anymore. Like not everything has to be live action. Look at Miles Morales. Like as animation, his movies are awesome. And I know everyone wants to see him live action, but do you really need to? And if you do, and it bombs, does it affect the other properties? So sometimes I think you have to try to like really find, like, look at the properties and be like, okay, what makes most sense here to do? But we were talking about something last week, and we we're saying whether you do it animation or live action. And we were saying how live action would be super expensive because obviously it would be like all green screen pretty much. But
because we were talking about all like the Rick Remender stuff.
Oh yeah. Sacrificers. We're talking about like Sacrificers or something like that,
or like Low or Black Science, like all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like fake worlds and stuff like that. Yeah. I think animation's the route to go sometimes, man. And it's cool. I think there is, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you'll ever get past. There's some people out there like my sister for sure is always like, no, I don't watch anything animation. I hate animation. I hate animation. And there's always going to be people like that out there. But I feel like the walls are dropping on that as good animation comes out. So,
Oh, it's totally different. You know,
yeah,
like just
totally
like
different.
rewatching the Castlevania stuff, knowing that this new series was coming out. Like I went on the Xbox and bought like a bunch of the games because they were like on sale. Like
Yeah.
they had the Castlevania Anniversary Collection was like $5. So
Dude,
I
the
bought that.
N64 ones were super fun.
The N64, no, that one was terrible.
What? I love that one. And then you could play the sequel where you played as the werewolf.
Oh yeah, Legacy of Darkness.
And it
But
was like
like,
the same story. I really like
yeah,
that.
so like I mean the Anniversary Collection comes with like the first original 3 from the Nintendo and then like 2 others.
Yeah, those are hard to play now, though. It's the
I mean, they're still
platform.
fun. No, 2 is still the best. But then like Symphony of the Night was on sale for like $5. I bought that. I bought Lords of Chaos or Darkness of Chaos. I can't remember. The one that was on like the Xbox and PlayStation system was another. And they were all like super cheap. They were like $5. So I was like, whatever. My total came out to like $18 for like 8 games. I was like, obviously I'm playing Starfield. I'm like, when am I going to actually play this? But
Yeah.
you know, whatever. They're on sale. They're on the system. I'll play them at some point. But you know, I feel like that's kind of like the way to go because like video games are in that type of entertainment, right?
Mhm.
And for them to come over into live action, sometimes obviously the transition is very hard.
It's rough. It can be
Yes,
goofy.
it's very rough. So the anime
Yeah.
is just like is so cool to watch because obviously you could do so much. And like now that I'm rewatching this Castlevania series, I'm really paying attention to things, and there's a lot of things that I miss, like a lot of Easter eggs, like the first time around that I was just like, whatever type of
Yeah.
thing. But like there's so much history and lore in that, and I'm like, man, the series was so good.
I will say I think things, you know, it's always been like a joke, right? Like video games to movies have always kind of been like a joke in like how they come across, but they are getting better, dude. Like I just rewatched again the Mortal Kombat movie. I love that new Mortal Kombat movie. It's shit's so good. So I don't know.
The live
Yeah.
action, the HBO?
The live action one. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That one's awesome. And
Well, I mean, you know, we were just talking, for the people in the multiverse, they don't know what happens behind the scenes, but, you
yeah.
know, we were just talking pre-show that I just got Mortal Kombat 1 for PlayStation 5, and I'm blowing through the storyline for, you know, on the PS5, and I think it's
Mhm.
great. Like, I didn't really play 11 or 10. I mean, I may have played 10, like, when it was, like, free on, like, you know, when the downloadable games were free, but I didn't really get into them because I'm like, I'd rather play, like, Injustice. Like, I like
Yeah.
that storyline. But it's good. Like I enjoy it. I think the characters are cool. Like rewriting the history of all Mortal Kombat, and you get to see like a change in the characters. And what's great is like characters I like using are characters that I would have never used in like previous Mortal Kombats.
Yeah.
Like their combo system and they're just like their moves they do is like so much cooler than like their old versions. Like to be honest, like my favorite character just playing through the storyline is Shang-Chi. I'm sorry, Shang-Chi.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. Like
Yeah.
he's because obviously he's like younger now, and he's like he's almost got like these Wolverine type of claws.
Hmm.
Like it's really interesting.
Almost like a Vega.
Yeah, like he still has his like classic, like he can transform into like the other character. He shoots the skulls, you know, like stuff like that. But he's got these like cool little like mechanical like claws that actually come out that he can actually use. So it's such a different character.
I've always said, dude, and I feel like it would be so awesome, is they need to redo like a Mortal Kombat comic book series. And like, but not like with the new story arc, but like the old one. And you do like each arc, man. I've always thought this would be so great. Like, let's say that Mortal Kombat 1, boom, 8 issues, right? And it's how it goes, it's how the story was through Mortal Kombat 1, the game. And then you could do spin-offs showing like a 4-issue miniseries about the origin of like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and then like the origin of, you know, Sonya and her connection to Kano and that stuff. But then you only have like that boom core series, 8 issues, 10 issues, whatever the hell you're gonna do for like each game. And then you move on until you go to Mortal Kombat 2 and the same thing. And then kind of like mini series about like Cyrax Sector, you know, those characters, stuff like that would be awesome. Someone hire me to do that shit.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, there's not much on the video game side. Like, I know, like Uden Entertainment, like they own the Street Fighter stuff. They're constantly putting out Street Fighter. Like, they just did the Street Fighter 6
Yeah.
storyline. I know they're coming out with like they do like the summer special or summer swimsuit special, whatever. They've been doing like one shots on some of the new characters. this year they did the Darkstalkers Morrigan, which was I loved because I'm a huge Darkstalkers fan, and they did the Felicia. Now they're doing Sue Hugh, who's like one of another character from Darkstalkers. But yeah, we don't get too many. I think
Warner Brothers
last
owns
Mortal Kombat was like on DC.
DC. I mean, that's Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat or Warner Brothers in DC. So
Yeah, so I guess some point we have to get another at least comic book, right?
Yeah.
Like
Hell yeah.
sometimes they don't do these, and even like just come out with like a one shot or like a 2-issue thing. They're gonna make me go look because I mean I don't even have like the newest series of the Mortal Kombats. Like I have the old Mortal Kombats from like Malibu. Remember Malibu comics?
That's the only ones that are really out there that really tell the story at all.
Yeah.
So
so yeah, I guess that's again we got to definitely do an all video game show. So
yeah.
That's one of our articles. Let's kind of move on to some of the other articles for the evening. So this one's, obviously people are asking me when are we gonna. It's funny. I had a whatnot sale the other night, and someone asked me. He's like, "Oh, when are you guys gonna talk about Ahsoka again?" I go, "Listen, we did our preview. We did our mid-season. We have one more episode. Obviously, we're not talking spoilers. We have one more episode, and then we can finally discuss the entire season of Ahsoka." So, without having to spoil anything, without having to really talk about Ahsoka, for any of you Star Wars Rebels fans, so this is coming out in January with the solicitations for Marvel. The 10th year anniversary for Star Wars Rebels is going to be having some anniversary variants done by Casper Wingard. So you have all different covers based on either Star Wars or in the Darth Vader series. So starting out in January, there's about 10 different covers. You have ones with Kanan and Zeb. You have an Ezra Bridger chopper. Sabine's going to be on the Darth Vader. Then we have a Thrawn one, which is probably there's not many Thrawn covers out there, to be honest, other than his series. Like he's only been on maybe like 2 or 3 covers outside of his own series. We have the Grand Inquisitor. We have Agent Callus. Ahsoka's going to be in there, her Rebels look, which is awesome. Love that look. And then you have Hera. So coming out in January, be on the lookout for your 10th anniversary Star Wars Rebels line. So they've been doing that, pretty much every year. Obviously, we had the 40th anniversary of Star Wars when that happened. You did the 40th anniversary of Empire. This year was Jedi. And then we've seen it right now. If you're picking up all the Star Wars comics, they have the 15th anniversary of Clone Wars, which some of those variants are amazing. So make sure if you are picking up a variant like I am, you get all these different variants because they're pretty cool. Like I actually like them, and hopefully they stick the way they've been showing off the pictures. I really hope that these covers stay the same and they don't ruin it with like a trade dress, because that's my biggest concern is like when they show off like what the variant looks like, you're just going to have some ugly trade dress of like, it's going to say like Darth Vader across it, even though it's like a Star Wars Rebels thing. So, I know you're not really big on the variants, but
no, they're cool, but yeah, not really my thing. But I like the idea of them when they do these like themes across the Star Wars titles. It's cool. Like, I mean, I won't be picking them up, but for people who like them, hell yeah, man.
Yeah. So again, we would definitely be talking about Star Wars Ahsoka next week after the final episode. So I've been trying to not even really talk to Zack too much about what, thoughts and stuff after every episode. So let's move it on. Zack's got an article from our friends over at DSTLRY.
Yeah, so DSTLRY announces comic from Harley Quinn artist Mirka Andolfo. So Harley Quinn artist Mirka Andolfo is collaborating with DSTLRY for the Devil's Cut follow-up series Blasphemous. So for those of you who haven't read DSTLRY's first issue, The Devil's Cut, it was kind of like an anthology type book with multiple stories from multiple writers and artists and everything. And moving forward from that comes this new series, Blasphemous, which is slated to appear in December. It's an independent offshoot from the 5-page story called A Blessed Day that was published in DSTLRY's inaugural comic book, The Devil's Cut. Resuming its predecessor's story, Blasphemous will go even deeper into the themes of media adoration, posing the question of how valuable one's soul is. Written and illustrated by Andolfo, A Blessed Day is one of the 8 original stories from The Devil's Cut, all of which will have its own series. So they're marketing it as a horror comedy as well. Which, like, what we do in the shadows, maybe I'll really like it. Get to check it out. But I thought it was cool. Just to kind of tell you what it is about, conjures a new horror comedy where demonic music managers revel in fan adulation and pop stars compete for worship. A la Taylor Swift, maybe. Blasphemous #1 releases in December. How many fans is your soul worth? So, yeah, it seems pretty cool. I haven't got through my issue of Devil's Cut yet. And Justin and I talked about, hopefully Distillery doesn't do everything in magazine format, which is super frustrating for a collector. Like, where do you store it? And now I got to buy 100 Golden Age or magazine, whatever. Like, yeah, and there's no magazine boards too. Like, you have to mix and match. It's such a nightmare.
Well, they do have them, but they're like, why are you going to buy like a 50 pack if you don't even have 50 comics?
Right. Like, I don't think I've ever owned 50 magazine comics in my lifetime throughout my whole collection. So, yeah, I know I have some somewhere here, but anyway, I thought that was a cool article for anyone who's checking out Distillery and looking for something new. And I know there's probably a bunch of Mirka Andolfo fans out there. So,
yeah, I'm definitely a little upset that I didn't get a sketch at Baltimore Comic-Con because Mirka was there and her prices were very reasonable.
Yeah.
Our buddy Binky's, he got a Kate Bishop on a blank, and it looked awesome. And I'm kind of upset with myself that I didn't get something over there, but whatever. I mean, I had Adam Hughes do a sketch for me, which was cool. So, but this is interesting because like they really don't do too much on the musician comics, right? There's not really much out there, and to be honest, I don't really think there's been something for quite a while. Like I was a big fan of that series, Wicked and Divine from Gillian.
I never read that. Yeah.
Oh, you never read that? That was really cool. It was kind of the premise is like there's gods, and like every so many years the gods come back as humans, and at this time they all came back as like musicians or like pop stars, basically. Like not like real life pop stars, but they kind of resemble, like one of them kind of looked like Billy Idol, and there's like a group of, there was all different, but it's really interesting that that's what they wanted to be all. Like they all wanted to be pop stars. So, and the fact that there was like this whole hidden thing going on, underneath because they're immortal. So like they would always do like these spin-offs or like one shots where like it was, previously like there was like a pilgrimage age, but the main storyline obviously being the fact that they were all pop stars and, it's all about music. So really cool. But I like this. I think, some of the images that they show on this article are pretty interesting. And the fact that, Mirka's a great artist. She's done some pretty cool stuff that I've read in the past. And, I guess we're going to have to see what this is. But like you said, and, I said it pre-show, as long as this isn't a magazine format, man, I'm down for it. I just can't. I mean, literally, like I have a few, I would probably have a handful of like the Star Wars Insiders magazines, but they always come out and some of the covers are so cool, but I'm just like, where do I put them?
Yeah.
Like my bookshelf can only hold so many, trade paperbacks and a few omnibuses, but the more I get, it's just like, what am I going to do with these? Because, like even like you said, like I probably did buy a pack of bags and boards for magazines, but typically it's like when I find magazines that are cool and I end up selling them. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, where am I going to put these? Like, sideways in a short box?
That's weird.
Oh, gotta be the worst. So when's this come out again?
December.
All right. So I'm sure that's available for pre-order definitely right now. Sure. It's got to be on this month's solicitation. So you could still, obviously, it's way before FOC. So check that out from Distillery. And let's move on to flip it onto the Marvel side. So over at marvelcomics.com, this is actually just posted yesterday on the 26th. So Marvel launches a giant size celebration for the 50th anniversary of the giant size storytelling to celebrate the impact and the legacy of 1970s giant size issues with an all new giant sized one shot starting next year, starting with Cody Ziegler and Eben Coley's giant size Spider-Man #1 in January. So, of course, throughout the historical Bronze Age of the 1970s, there were some tales of some titanic adventures so grand and battles so larger than life that they can only be told in giant-sized comics. Of course, some of the bigger ones, the all-new, all-different X-Men, the wedding of Vision and Scarlet Witch. You had Spider-Man's run-in with Dracula, and the first appearances of Multiple Man, Lilith, Korvac, and Tiger are all in those giant-sized issues. So, again, starting in January, we're going to get our giant-sized Spider-Man #1 is the first one, but of course there's other ones that are going to be coming out after that, but we don't know. It's actually got a pretty cool reprint of Ultimate Comics Spider-Man #22, which is of course the epic conclusion of Miles Morales fighting the Ultimate Venom for the first time. And then also coming out in December is a Giant Size Superstars facsimile #1, which is the old Hulk fighting the Fantastic Four in a boxing ring. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think like back in the 70s, like they had these things that were like so packed with, larger, like every now and then, we have like a comic that comes out nowadays, right? And it's just like super size. And it's just like
the 64 page. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this was like this was the annual. This was before the annuals came out. Like, right. So they did these, I think, maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to think when annuals started coming out.
I feel like this is I feel like they
Fantastic Four had early
came out
annuals,
with these and then they became the annuals. Like they then ended up coming in later on.
So, but I don't trust Marvel because Marvel had those years where they put out stuff like this and it would be like, oh, it's action packed, so many pages in this issue. And I feel like we've talked about this before too. And then the end of the issue is like 10 pages of, oh, here's the covers from every Spider-Man comic that's ever been made. It's bullshit. Or there's more ads in it than there normally would be. It's not your traditional giant size issue that it like used to be. And honestly, I couldn't be less excited for like a more lackluster giant size Spider-Man than on the cover Venom and Miles Morales. And it's not even, it's Dylan Brock. So it's giant size Spider-Man. So you don't get the real Venom, you get Dylan Brock. You don't get the real Spider-Man, you get Miles Morales. Like it's awesome, dude.
But even like you're saying, it's, and I already said, like, not only is it going to be part original story, but then they're also going to have this reprinting of Ultimate Comics Spider-Man.
Okay.
So it's like, why? Like, why not just have the whole entire book, either multiple new stories or just one big story?
Right.
That can fill out an entire.
Because they can't, it takes too much work to come out with a new idea, dude. That's just too many pages for one new idea when you can just use an old idea. And I bet you, what's the cover price? Did they even say? They won't tell you. It's going to be $9.99.
Oh, this is definitely going to be, without a doubt, like a $9.99 cover price.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're going to get this for $5 or $6 being a giant size. So
it's bullshit.
Well, hopefully, like they did in the 70s, they'll create new characters out of this and they'll be, worth something at some point. So whether they do like a giant size Spider-Man and then you get the X-Men and, I'm sure you'll get a Miss Marvel, newer characters, right? Because obviously, like, they had all these characters back in the day that they were the main titles at Marvel. So it's like, what are the main titles now, or what are the newer characters now that they can create giant size stories that are actually good? Because if you think about it, I mean, they did have really cool giant size storylines back then and introducing new characters who still are relevant today.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see.
We'll see January and then whatever else comes. I'm sure it's giant size Spider-Man with Miles. I'm sure you'll get an X-Men. I'm sure you'll get a Logan. And we'll get Ms. Marvel. Maybe we'll get like a Riri. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Let's finish it out with what are we currently reading? I'm gonna be completely honest. I had no time to get to the comic shop, so I have not read anything. I hate sometimes recording on a Wednesday because I don't have time to get to the shop and read books. But you, buddy, what do you got? So obviously next week I'll have a ton of stuff to talk about.
Damn. Okay. Well, now I feel like I got to cover this week for the whole crew. So I think you'll like X-Men Days of Future Past that came out, the Doomsday book, #3. I know you've been enjoying that series. And I know I kind of shit on it at first. And I said what I would have liked was them to show as you had the wall, like out each guy gets apprehended, slain, or captured, or whatever. And it does look like that is what they're doing. So I think what we saw in the issue 1 was like a quick synopsis of everything. And then now you're getting a slower burn up to the whole story. So you're starting to see that in this last issue. So that one was pretty cool. What else did I like? The Jean Grey issue was really interesting. So Jean Grey is coming off of obviously the Hellfire Gala and she's been killed, but because it's Jean Grey, her psyche or whatever is kind of like loose, and she's kind of like doesn't have a body right now. So she's kind of exploring, and I don't know, let's just say the astral realm for whatever reason. It's not the astral realm, but she's kind of looking at her life and what big events in her life could have, if she would have done something differently, how it would have gone. So like the first issue dealt with the original 5 X-Men and how when they they went fast forward in time, right? And then they came back, and then Jean wiped their memories, and she ended up keeping their memories at that time to try to avoid the pitfalls of what would happen. And it all went awry. And she's like, yeah, that's not going to work. This issue deals more with the Phoenix. So in this issue, she's talking about, okay, well, what if when, it's funny because it is kind of like a big what if issue. Each issue's been like a what if in a way. And she's like, well, so I'm taking the ship down, as if anyone's familiar with the Phoenix story, they're crashing their ship and there's radiation's killing everyone, and only one person has to like pilot the ship, right? So Wolverine says he should do it because he has the healing factor. Obviously, it's Jean who does it and protects everyone, and therefore the Phoenix shows up, right? All out of the Phoenix kind of happens. So she explores the possibility of what if she would have let Wolverine do it, and she mentally connects with him to kind of help him fly the ship. And as it crashes, she starts to connect with him. She sees his past. So obviously this is way before, we know about his past. She builds like a psychic like relationship with him in a way. And then she calls out for help, just like she does in the original story. And the Phoenix comes, but it goes to Wolverine. So Wolverine becomes this berserker rage Phoenix, where he's just like, all he can think about now is the Weapon X program and killing all these people. And so he takes off and he goes to like destroy Weapon X. So Jean and Cyclops go with him. And then there's a whole thing. And then it's like, what if Cyclops got it? So it's almost like a double if Cyclops got the power too. And then she now has moved on. It looks like next issue is going to be looking down the rabbit hole of like Madeline Pryor and the Goblin Queen stuff. So I've really enjoyed this series. I think it's very interesting, kind of like almost like a summary of Jean Grey's story, as well as what ifs. So I can see it being like Madeline Pryor, and if it's 5 issues total, at some point we'll probably get the death of where she dies with like Zorn and the fake Magneto and all that and different stuff. So that was pretty cool. I'd have to say my pick of the week though is, I'm trying to look at my books here. I really enjoyed the one. I'm guessing it's a one shot. The Batman, Catwoman, Gotham War, Red Hood.
Yes.
So I finally read the Catwoman issue, which was great. Really, really cool stuff. And this issue dives a little bit more in depth about Red Hood's like role in the organization, kind of, and it's pretty cool. There's some interesting things that are occurring, and it's funny because this Gotham War is very much supposed to be Batman versus Catwoman, but as you'll see as these issues are going on, you're getting some of the rogues gallery. They're lurking around as well. They're not staying quiet. So we get not the introduction, but we see another villain kind of pop up here. And obviously anytime there's a Red Hood story, Joker's not far away from Red Hood's mind. So I thought this was a really fun issue. I like the way Jason was written in this issue. And yeah, I'm enjoying this storyline. This has been really good. So
yeah, that's definitely one of my books that I'm grabbing. Of course, with that storyline. Speaking of, I know you talked about it last week, and I didn't read it by the time we recorded last week, and I feel like you didn't give it like a really good review. But Wolverine versus Predator was
I
really
thought it was my pick of the week last week.
It was, but like I feel like you downplayed your pick of the week. Like I finally got a chance to read it, and man, it was like it was so good. Like,
it was good.
It was very good. I mean, I know you talked about how it's like the past, and there's a lot of things going on, and I do like how it changed as far as like you always get to see that, like when the Predator comes to Earth and he goes and hunts like all the best animals, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a one panel where he's like jumping on top of like a killer whale.
You're right.
Yeah,
That
was like crazy.
Ridiculous. That was cool. It was ridiculous. It was cool.
Yeah, so crazy. But yeah, the fact that he comes back at the end, and it's almost like at a certain point in Wolverine's life with like the other, what's that, like the Maverick Hunters?
Yeah, Team X.
Yeah, Team X.
Yeah.
And then obviously sets up issue 2 with a group of predators that are going to come. But yeah, man, that was
a good
such a great issue. I was so glad that I finally got around to reading that last week after we recorded. So, that's it, everybody. Season 3, episode 39. I can tell you that officially next week, be sure you're following us on Instagram. We will be dropping our exclusive variant t-shirt. I have them ordered. They are being shipped. They are coming in, and they are very short printed. Literally, it's it. This is it. This is a one and done thing. I think there's literally like 5 of each size from small all the way to double XL. And once they're sold out, we're not doing them again. So
we
make
actually
sure
made 50 shirts and we burned 40 of them to keep the print
Can you
run low.
imagine?
So that's what we did because we wanted them to be super exclusive. So we made all these shirts. And so all you double XLs, it's only like one of them. We killed them. We burnt the rest up. You can't have them.
So yeah, there's literally only out there in the world, there's only going to be 5 of each size, excluding large, because of course Zach and I are both larges. So there's
Yeah.
7 larges out in the world.
Dude.
But yeah,
Put our body size out there.
yeah. So, but these are really awesome. I can't wait to show them off. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. We'll tag it, and again, I don't know what the price point is going to be low. Obviously, it's not going to be something stupid. We're not looking to make a ton of money off of these. We're really just breaking even.
Yeah.
Like after what we pay for the shirts and shipping it to everybody, it's not going to be. So again, make sure you're following us on Instagram. I had a blast coming up with the idea. Zach's seen it, so it's really cool. I'll give you a tease. It is definitely Star Wars themed. So I'm really excited for this next week to drop. So be sure you're following all of us, Milton Emanuel, Nemesis Prime, and the Comic-Con podcast on Instagram. And these will be dropping as soon as I get them in. I will take a picture of it and I will post it. And if you claim it, you paid. That's it. One and done on this run. So Zach, anything closing words?
Nope. Thanks for showing up, everybody. And we'll see you again soon.
Yep. All right, everybody. Peace.